Good afternoon, everyone. As we wait for our guests to arrive, um, as you all know, we've had some very interesting engagement on the group for this event that we've been waiting for so eagerly. I now request the winners of this contest that we had to come up on stage as I call you one by one.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Wonderful ladies here and few gents around as well. It's unprepared. I just got to know a minute back. So I'll tell the gist of what I have shared, what I actually think I wanted to ask, not exact verbatism that I've shared there. My question, I choose to be an ambassador for China in that competition that we talked about. And the way I would like to approach the whole engagement part with China and its delegates was, I would like to be more grounded on Indian value system, showcase India as a nation through my individual integrity and personality, and in that process, build my connections. With those connections, with those networking, I would then like to initiate the discussion with China, its diplomats and delegates to see what are the situations where we can create win-win even for me as well as for China as a nation. I think those small wins can pave the way for a greater discussions on border wars, the border encroachments that we're talking about, the trade wars, and all other softer issues which are becoming bigger right now. I think it's an uphill walk, but that's how I would approach it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalu. Yes, it will certainly be an uphill walk. Can we have Ritu Hiranjain?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I chose to be the ambassador of United States amid rising tariffs. If I were the ambassador of India to the United States for a day, at a time when President Trump has imposed new tariffs, I would focus my efforts on turning a moment of tension into an opportunity for dialogue and deeper cooperation. My first step would be to initiate constructive engagement with the US policymakers, trade representatives, and business leaders. Tariffs may be a policy decision, but the impact is felt most by industries, exporters, and consumers. I would advocate for India's interest firmly but diplomatically, showcasing how a strong, balanced trade relationship benefits both nations. I'd also reach out to Indian businesses operating in the US as well as American companies that rely on Indian partnerships, especially in technology, pharmaceuticals, textiles, and engineering. By gathering real-time feedback, I'd present a grounded and data-backed case to US decision makers, focusing on mutual growth rather than unilateral protectionism. Publicly, I would emphasize that India and US share more than just trade. We are connected by democracy, innovation, and a commitment to global progress. Temporary disruptions would not cloud a relationship built on decades of trust and collaboration. Finally, I'd use my position to promote people-to-people ties, education, entrepreneurship, and cultural exchange, ensuring that the bond between our nations remains resilient at every level. Even in one day, an ambassador can influence direction. I would use mine to reaffirm that diplomacy, not tariffs, must define the future of India-US relationships. Thank you.
Thank you. Tariff time can be a very tough time to negotiate or to navigate. Next, can we have Sapna Bhupalam?
Good afternoon, FLO. As India's representative in the US, I carry with me the hopes of over 1 billion citizens, anchored in the values of democracy, respect, and progress. In a world often divided, India offers a voice of calm and cooperation, choosing diplomacy and connection over conflict. Back home, we are charting a new path from empowering villages with digital tools to aiming for the moon with homegrown innovation. We believe in advancing together. and we invite the US to be part of this journey. Our approach to global challenges is rooted in the strength with humility. Our climate, we are not just doing on our part, we are urging fairness above all. Indians and Americans alike who are weaving a future based on shared values and human connection. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna. Fairness and friendship, I guess, is what we heard there. Sonam Poddar.
Good afternoon, everyone. So basically, I wanted to represent our feelings for Pakistan, which has been deep inside each one of us. So as the voice of India, I stand for peace, harmony, and regional cooperation, but never at the cost of sovereignty, dignity, or security. India and Pakistan share deep roots, but history has carved different paths, often marked by pain. We cannot ignore terrorism, ceasefire, violations, and disrupted dialogues. These are human tragedies, not just policy issues. India has always advocated peaceful coexistence based on mutual respect, but there can be no peace without accountability. Terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. We envision a South Asia united by trade, progress, trust. India is ready to engage firmly, fairly, and fearlessly. To the world, India remains a responsible power, offering friendship with strength and sincerity. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonam, a very emotional issue. Can we now have Seema Sibal?
Good afternoon to all. So if I am the ambassador of the USA for a day, I would consider it a great honor and responsibility representing a nation's values, building friendships with other countries, and finding peaceful and productive ways to solve global issues. My first goal would be to promote mutual respect and understanding between US and India. I would organize a cultural exchange event where both nations would showcase their traditions, food, art, and history, helping people appreciate our differences and discover how much we have in common. I would focus on important global challenges such as climate change, education, and equality. I would initiate a dialogue between youth leaders of both countries, encouraging young minds to share innovative ideas for a better future, which I believe is vital to inspire cooperation and hope. In meetings with officials, I would represent the US with dignity and a spirit of partnership. I'd listen carefully, speak respectfully, and try to build bridges, not walls. I would impress that diplomacy is not just about politics, but about people working together for peace, progress, and understanding, and a chance to make the world a little closer. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema, an approach of finesse and dignity. Can we now have Geeta Verma?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is the message from India's ambassador to the People's Republic of China. Today, as neighbors and rising global powers, India and China hold a unique responsibility to shape a peaceful, stable, and multipolar Asia. Under the leadership of our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, India is not just rising, it is redefining possibilities. Our negotiations will be boundary disputes, trade and market access, multilateral and global cooperation. Our showcasing will be digital innovation in education, healthcare, space technology, green energy, and global partnerships. India's defense stance will be terrorism in any form, strategic autonomy, global military norms. Let India and China write not a script of rivalry, but of responsible partnership for Asia and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta. I think that's a growth-focused approach. Next, can we have Neetu Agarwal?
Hello, everyone. India's ambassador to Pakistan, this is my vision, what I will defend. Talks and terror cannot go hand in hand. India values peace, but not at the cost of its security. Jammu and Kashmir is non-negotiable. It is India's internal matter focused on development and democracy. National security comes first. We will protect our borders, both physical and digital. What I will showcase India's rise as a global power, top 5 economy, digital transformation, space innovation. Our strength lies in progress with principle, leading the global south, shaping global tech and climate policy. Shared heritage with Pakistan from cricket to culture offers a chance to connect, not divide. What I will negotiate? Only a trust-based, outcome-driven dialogue. No symbolism, only substance. Cooperation on humanitarian fronts, health, disaster relief, climate action, a future that prioritizes youth, stability, and prosperity across South Asia. India stands firm, open to dialogue, but never under pressure. We lead with clarity, strength, and responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Neetu. I think a very firm and assertive message and stance. Next, can we have Pooja Poddar?
A very good afternoon to everybody present. If I were India's ambassador to the USA today, I would proudly showcase India's digital and innovation leap from UPI to Aadhaar, from ISRO's space missions to our booming startup ecosystem. India is not just the world's largest democracy, it's fast becoming the world's most dynamic one. I would follow what our leaders have been saying. India should speak firmly but politely. We don't need to be aggressive or defensive, just clear, calm, and confident. It's time the world sees India as an equal stakeholder in shaping the future of global governance. On global platforms, I would defend India's constitutional values, pluralism, tolerance, and democratic resilience, and challenge Western media narratives that paint India with a singular, often outdated brush. I would like to talk to American companies and show them why India is a great place to do business, especially when it comes to building cleaner and greener solutions, positioning us as a reliable partner amid global supply chain shifts. Culturally, I would push for deeper people-to-people ties, more youth exchanges, Indian arts in American universities, and a strategic revival of the soft power diplomacy India once championed. And last but not the least, I would negotiate harder for India's rightful seat at multilateral institutions, whether it's the UN Security Council or key global trade frameworks. The world must recognize that India no longer wants to sit outside the room. It's ready to help shape the agenda within it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pooja. A very clear message of showcasing India's strength. Now, our final person, Jayashree Chajjar. Can we have you here?
As India's voice, I stand for peace, but never at the cost of national integrity or principles. Here's what I would assert. Defend national integrity. China's action in Ladakh violate agreements. India will protect its border firmly and lawfully. Insist on equality. Dialogue must be based on mutual respect, not coercion. Expose provocations. China's growing nexus with Pakistan intensifies Kashmir tensions and undermines regional stability. Reject propaganda. Censorship and misinformation hurt diplomacy. Let truth lead. Support Indo-Pacific freedom. Expansionism endangers trade, trust, and cooperation. Demand global accountability. Unilateralism must be challenged. International law matters. Affirm India's strength. Restraint is not weakness. We value dignity over domination. India chooses peace with strength and dialogue with integrity. If you believe in justice over power and law over fear, stand with us. Let's build a world where national integrity is respected and peace is shared. India's voice today and always. Jayashree Chawla.
Thank you, Jayashree, another firm and assertive voice on behalf of India. Well, now, as you all know, events such as these are made possible only because of the support of our generous sponsors. Our platinum sponsor for the year is Marzi. Marzi by Primus is a community-driven lifestyle platform solving for the health and happiness of the active and aspirational Indians over the age of 55. With a collection of service offerings like travel, home improvement, community events, companionship, learning, and more, Marzi is all 55 plus Indians who wish to live their lives with joy, independence, and purpose. The Marzi platform redefines aging as a phase of growth, exploration, and active engagement, and aims to increase health span and reduce the process of aging, which I'm sure we all want. Can we have the Marzi video, please?
What if you were not meant to slow down once you turn 55, but instead move faster, freer, bolder? What if you could live life unapologetically, without limits? What if strength wasn't measured in decades, but in choices? What if connection didn't fade, but only grew deeper with time? What if your bucket list got longer, more adventurous, but not shorter? What if this was the decade where your creativity finally ran wild? What if every day felt like a beginning, not the ending? What if you could choose to ride not into the sunset, but into your prime? Because when you choose active aging, it isn't about slowing down. It's about taking control, choosing adventure over routine, possibility over pause, and a life that excites you every single day. That's why we created Marzi, an active aging platform built for those who refuse to sit still. Whether it's reigniting old passions, traveling to places you've always dreamed of, or crafting a lifestyle that keeps you engaged and inspired. Marzi, choose active aging.
Our Silver One sponsor for the year is DBS. DBS is a leading financial services group in Asia with a presence in 19 markets. Headquartered and listed in Singapore, DBS has presence in Greater China, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. DBS has been named the world's best bank by Global Finance and Euromoney, and Global Bank of the Year by The Banker. DBS has also been accorded the Safest Bank in Asia award by Global Finance for 16 consecutive years from 2009. DBS Bank is the first among large foreign banks in India, opening its first office in Mumbai back in 1994, 30 years ago. DBS has a network of 500 plus branches in 19 Indian states. Can we have the DBS video, please?
Audio Jungle.
Thank you. I would now like to take a moment to do a quick hygiene check. I would request all the members to please ensure that your mobiles are on silent for the duration of the event. And we also request that all of us maintain the standard flow decorum. I'll give you a moment to just check your phones just in case. Well, while ladies, as we wait, here's a little more engagement as a prelude to the event. Just some quick trivia and questions, and whoever knows can answer. Who here knows someone personally serving in the armed forces or foreign service today? Can we have you stand? Oh, wow, that is quite a few. Please stand if you know, and you can tell us who they are or who you know.
Okay, this is a friend. His name is Vipul Shingal, and he's, I think, some lieutenant general or something. He's like some big guy.
Nice, nice. Bindu?
So I know quite a few people, and one of them is the youngest commanding officer who is right now in Poonch. And yeah, I think that's all I can divulge.
Okay. The person at the back, if we can pass the mic there.
Hi, I train 50,000 border security force.
I'm sorry?
I train 50,000 border security force.
Wow.
Huge salute to them, huge.
Hi, Pooja. Yeah, so my sister Amulya Ganesh, so she's a defense accounts officer. She's in the central services and heads the Karwar Naval Base right now at the moment.
Wow, thank you. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think there's one more person. Okay, there are three more, and I think that's all we have time for. If you could tell us. So Rupa, then Manju, and Sunita.
Hi. So my dad served in the Air Force. He fought the war in 1971, before I was born. A lot of his, thank you. A lot of his friends are from the Air Force, and their kids and my classmates, many of them are in the Air Force and the Army. And I want to just make one mention. While I was doing my flying training, I had a senior. He finished his commercial pilot's license with us sooner than us and got into Air India. But he said, this is not for him. He wanted to do something more. So he became an IAS officer. He is now Deputy Commissioner Income Tax. And after he achieved that, he felt he hadn't done enough. He wanted to wear a uniform. So he joined the army. And he also goes in for combat. He got the Shaurya Chakra. And he even went now to Kashmir for the combat. And he's a Bangalorean.
Wow, greater calling.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm very proud to say that my nephew, he's a major in the army. And he was in Kashmir till yesterday, just got posted out today. And he is in the aviation wing of the army. And also very proud to say that he was the first respondent when the Pahalgam incident happened. He was the first pilot to get there for the rescue operation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mine, I am very proudly saying that the DGMO, Rajiv Gai, who got the first call from Pakistan, is my Sambandhi.
Oh, wow. That's great. Very appropriate, apt, and meaningful for today's event. And I think with that, we can get started formally. We have all of our guests here with us. So ladies and a few gentlemen here, a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to one of the most powerful events this year at FLO Bangalore. It is my privilege to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you present here today, our past chair council, our sponsors, our Frontline India special guests, members of the press, and our dear FLO members. Today, our Frontline India event happens to coincide with World Environment Day, and as FLO Bangalore, we don't just celebrate the planet, we walk the talk. We don't use plastic bottles at our events, we carpool to reduce emissions. We've partnered with Conrad to track and reduce our carbon footprint for every event. We have a plant counter set up today where you can buy a little green friend and nurture it. And even our event flexis will be recycled into eco-friendly bags. So thank you, dear members, for being responsible citizens of this planet. After the much-awaited wait, we are now ready to get rolling, and I invite our FLO Bangalore chairperson, the dynamic and phenomenal Dekyi Yengtsö Chawla, to take her seat on the dais. Dekyi Chawla is the co-founder of Reward 360, a pioneering digital customer engagement and loyalty tech company driving innovative loyalty solutions for leading enterprises across India, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East. She is the Senior Vice Chairperson of FLO Bangalore, she is the Chairperson of FLO Bangalore, lead mentor for the Tibetan Entrepreneurship Development Hub, and a founding member of the Global Tibetan Professionals Network. We're very proud that you are leading us today, Dekyi. It is now my honor and privilege to invite our guest, Ambassador Nirupama Rao, to the stage. Ambassador Nirupama Rao is an extraordinary diplomat, scholar, and one of India's most respected voices in foreign policy. Ambassador Rao served as India's Foreign Secretary from 2009 to 2011, becoming only the second woman in history to hold that prestigious position. The first woman spokesperson from 2001 to 2 of the Indian Foreign Service, and the only woman to serve as head of East Asia Division of the Ministry of External Affairs, which handles India's relations with China. She is also India's first High Commissioner Ambassador to Sri Lanka from 2004 to 2006, and to the People's Republic of China from 2006 to 2009. She was the Ambassador of India to the United States of America from 2011 to 2013. Beyond diplomacy, she is an author and academic. Her critically acclaimed book, The Fractured Himalaya, explores India-China relations in the years after independence. She has been a senior fellow at Brown University and a George Ball adjunct professor at Columbia University, continuing to shape global understanding of India's foreign policy and strategic thinking. She is the Global Policy Fellow of the Wilson Center, Washington, D.C. She is a Jawaharlal Nehru Fellow from 2015 to 16. She is a member of the Advisory Council of the National Institute of Advanced Studies, Bangalore, board member of the Indian Council for Research in International Economic Relations, council member of the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, holds honorary degree of Doctor of Letters from Pondicherry University, India. She's the Vice Chairman of Tibet House, New Delhi, the cultural center of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. She's a staunch believer.
Very close.
She's a staunch believer in the social media. She's a staunch believer in the power of social media as an advocacy platform for policy, and currently has over 1.3 million followers on X. She has received several awards recognizing her contributions in public service, including the KPS Menon Memorial Award, the Sri Chitra Tirunal Award, the Vanita Ratna Award of the Government of Kerala, and the Citizen Extraordinaire Award of Rotary International. She's a recipient of the Fellowship of Peace Award of the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Center in Washington, D.C., and she's the founder trustee of the South Asian Symphony Foundation, a not-for-profit trust which is dedicated to promoting mutual understanding through music in South Asia. Ambassador Rao is widely admired for her clarity of thought, eloquence, and commitment to public service. And today, we are privileged to hear her insights. Please join me again in welcoming Ambassador Nirupama Rao. Now, it is my honor and privilege again to invite our next guest, Nari Shakti in Operation Vijay, Captain Yashika Hatwal Tyagi, to join us on stage. Captain Yashika Hatwal Tyagi is an alumni of the prestigious Officers Training Academy, Chennai, and was commissioned into the Army Ordnance Corps in the year 1994. On 20th August 2023, she was felicitated by the Honorable President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu, as Asmita Icon for being an inspirational woman for the armed forces. On January 26, 2023, Captain Yashika was selected among lakhs of defense veterans to be part of the DIAV tableau and become the first woman veteran to salute the President of India on Republic Day parade at the Kartavya Path. In the year 1997, she was the first woman officer from logistics branch to be posted to high altitude and extreme cold climate area, where the area of responsibility included the highest battlefield on Earth, Siachen Glacier, among many other challenging heights. In 1999, she became the first woman logistics officer to be part of battle zone in Operation Vijay and equip the fighting forces to fight an effective battle with the enemy, ensure timely supply chain management of wartime stores, all kinds of heavy ammunition, rockets, mortars, small arms ammunition, special clothing for extreme cold climate, etc. During the battle, and please note this, during the battle, she was in the second trimester of her pregnancy, yet she fulfilled her duties as a true soldier of the Indian Army with strong resolve and determination. We salute you for that. As director, ECHS Polyclinic, she raised and successfully executed the maiden project under Ministry of Defense, Government of India, in counter-insurgency operations in Jorat, Assam from 2000 to 2003, and Srinagar, Jammu Kashmir from 2007 to 2009. While serving as a principal at Asha School at Danapur Cantonment in Patna, a school for specially abled children, she actively worked for amalgamating special children into mainstream society and ensured avenues for self-sufficiency. Captain Yashika is a distinguished Josh Talks and TEDx speaker. She's a sought-after defense analyst and regularly appears in national television news channels and radio channels. As a storyteller in her YouTube channel, Shaurya Tales, she narrates the inspiring stories of brave hearts from the Indian Armed Forces and daredevil military operations. We're extremely proud to have you here with us today. I now request everyone to stand up for our national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, everyone. I now request our chairperson, Dekyi Chawla, to address the audience.
Am I clear? Yes. So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Pooja, for the very generous introduction. Today, we're about to step into a conversation that most people only read about it in front lines, right? In front pages and headlines, sorry. But here we are going to be listening directly from the people who've been at the front line, whether it's at the battlefield or at the negotiation table on a global front. So I'm truly very honored and happy. Thank you very much to both Ambassador Nirupama Rao and Captain Yashika Tyagi for joining us today and sharing with us your insights and decoding Frontline India through the lens of both diplomacy and defense. Right? So in a world that's shifting rapidly, whether it's on the US tariffs that's shifting markets, whether it's about global power plays, or even border conflicts and tensions, it's not just about political issues, but these actually shape our country, our future, our families, and the futures of our children as well. So I think it's really imperative that all of us also listen to these conversations because, we as women are going to be influencing, the ecosystem around us, that is our children, etc. So that will definitely shape not just the country, but the future as well. So thank you everyone for showing up here today, for being part of the conversation, and for showing up for your country and for yourselves as well. So we'll start off today with a keynote address by Captain Yashika Tyagi, followed by Honorable Ambassador Nirupama Rao, and then we'll get into the fireside chat. So, Captain, would you like to, should we move?
Yes.
Yeah, over there?
Or
would
can
you
I
like
just
to be
stand here?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? Yes. Even if mic is not working, I think Fauji ki आवाज पहुंचनी चाहिए. Thank you. Thank you. So I see sea of faces bubbling with excitement. But क्या करूं? फौजी हूं तो थोड़ा check करूंगी. So how is the Josh? I want these glass tubes to just jingle, there. So let's do it again. How is the Josh? How is the Josh? How is the Josh? Thank you. What joy, what pleasure it gives me to be here amongst my tribe. Thank you so much for turning up in such good numbers. Thank you so much, Dekyi.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best for your tenure. I wish all the women present here good Josh. And today I cannot tell you that manifestations do come true. Can we have that picture, please? A year back, less than a year back, I was at Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy for Administrators, and I was doing a capsule for the young trainees, IAS, IFS officers, IPS officers, for executive presence. And I actually manifested
Yeah, you can sit here,
the ambassador, and she was actually the training picture for all the women trainees who were there, that be like her. That is the executive presence. And so I still get goosebumps, and I cannot, actually I'm having an imposter syndrome sitting in, to be sharing the same days with her. Thank you so much, ma'am, to be here. You have uplifted, I think, this whole stage, notches higher. So, as I represent armed forces, I'm going to speak from that standpoint when I speak to women entrepreneurs and women leaders, because all of you are leading your own teams. First and foremost thing, never try to be normal. Right? Never. Because if you want to stand out, you have to be an odd number. And all the women, mind you, we have got this huge leadership qualities. Actually, in my 29 plus years of career of various leadership roles, big, small teams, every type, and also as corporate trainers, I have trained about thousands of people. But one thing has stood out very, very clearly, that companies rise, companies fall because of the quality of the leadership skills and the decision-making ability. And so women, I think one huge quality that is possessed by almost all women is the high EQ. And communication is a very huge part of it. So in army, we say that communication is very big, very huge, because how else would a 24, 25-year-old young officer lead his men into the sure face of death just by that pep talk? Communication is very important. And women just know how to speak, when they are speaking to whom. You may be having a big team with all kinds of people, with all kinds of mental acumen. किसके साथ कैसे बात करनी है, कहाँ लहजा ऊपर करना है, कहाँ नीचे करना है, how to modulate. It's like a good piano. But I am a storyteller, so here I'm going to tell you a story as to how communication shapes the face of battle. Are you up for a story? Yes. Thank you. So this is 1965. Indo-Pakistan war is going on, and Indian troops are marching on ahead, and they have to take over the Lahore city. The regiment is 3rd Jat, commanding officer. Now see, it's a Jat Paltan. This means the troops are from western UP or Haryana or upper reaches of Rajasthan, and these men are commanded by an Anglo-Indian officer with the name Colonel Desmond Hayde. Now, as they are moving on ahead, they have lined up themselves near Ichhogil Canal. And next morning, the attack is to be launched. Now, very important, how leader communicates the objective. How you make your objective reach every single person of the team. Your battle is half won there. So Colonel Desmond Hayde was going from one post to another, and he was speaking to every JCO, NCO, officers, that tomorrow morning we have to launch an attack to a place just outside Lahore that is called Dograi. But just communicating is not enough. You also have to ask how much they have understood, how much your team has understood. You may be an Ivy League person and you have explained to your team in big, flowery English, but if your team has not understood the goal, how are they going to fight the battle for you, right? Now, when you are speaking to the team, you have to speak in the language that they understand. So, Colonel Desmond Hayde speaks to his Jat troops in the colloquial language that they understand best, and he says, "Susron." That is a term fondly used for the boys, the rogue boys. And he says, "Susro, kal raat ki roti kahan khayenge?" This means we have to win the objective, hold the ground, establish the langar, and eat food. That is the Fauji way of holding the ground. So he says, "Susro, kal raat ki roti kahan khayenge?" And everyone spoke in unison. Sob, dograi, dograi, dograi. The voice was echoing. Now Colonel Desmond Hay takes it one notch higher. And he, it's like a video game. He increases the difficulty level. And he says, "Susro, gar sio sabde goli lag gayi, to phir ke karoge?" Now he says, if the leadership falls, then what will you do? This is the litmus test of the team, that if your leader is not there, are you capable enough to reach the objective? So he says, "Sio sabde goli lag gayi to phir ke karoge?" And one young chap stands up and says, "Fikr na karo saab, sio sabde kandhe pe taak ke le jayenge, lekin rukenge dograi jaake." That is the power of communication. So as leaders, when you communicate to your team, the way you speak must always be so clear that everyone in your team understands their respective roles. Because in every work, everyone is a cog. Everyone has a role to play. We cannot be end all, be all. That is the power of team. Everyone understands their job, the work well done, and rightly so. Next day, had a single person been, alive, even if the whole regiment would have died, only one Jat would have survived. He also would have been to Dograi and put Tiranga Jhanda there. Well, actually, we won Dograi, but then it was next day only the war was called off, the ceasefire was announced, and we exchanged Dograi for some other territory that India wanted back. But then I think this is a masterclass in communication as a leader. So as I speak to my band of sisters, I have to share with you what power you hold. My life is nothing but the strength of band of sisters. I lost my father very early in life. He was an army officer. We lost him while in service. I was just 7 years old. My elder sister was 9, and my younger sister, who's sitting here, Wing Commander Anisha Hatwal, she was just 5 years old. And that time, Army is such a beautiful organization. It will just hold its own, very close. And so this band of sisters that formed a whole circle around my mother and did not let her get weak, became her friends and philosophers and guides, allowed her to focus on growing up her 3 daughters and how she grew up the 3 daughters. She always gave us the feeling that how important it is to think of your family name when you are going on ahead. So our buzzword always was, "Papa ka naam uncha rakhna." And that is how the life choices were made. And as time went by, I was at the right time, at the right place. Otherwise, ma'am, I was preparing for civil services because I wanted to be like Kiran Bedi. I wanted to wear uniform. But then, you know what Shah Rukh Khan ki picture hai? I know you know the dialogue. Anyone? किसी चीज को आप शिद्दत से चाहते हैं तो कायनात उसे आपके लिए लाती है, और मैं ऐसे ऐसे नहीं कर सकती हूं, so I will not do that. So, I was at the right time, at the right place, at the right age, that army announced the induction of girls. And I saw that picture on newspaper, this first batch of girls passing out, saluting the tricolor. Oh my God, how beautiful and strong they were looking. I wanted to be like that. Cleared my entrance in first attempt. I came to Officers Training Academy, and I was introduced to another band of sisters. Training was difficult. Yes, it was not supposed to be easy. On physical level, it was extremely demanding. The band of sisters stood by each other. Long runs going on. You are running 5 km run, you are running 10 km run, you are running 12 km run. And it is not just that you are wearing some, gym tights and you are running. You are in your dangris, your camouflages, those heavy boots, a 5 kg gun at your back, radio set strapped on your shoulders, and you are running on ahead. And it may happen that half of us are running on periods. No one knows how many girls are on periods unless you see a red patch appearing on a dangri. That is how girls camouflage their own weaknesses, so to say, and turn it around for the strength. And there you find another girl just holding her by the waist, another one holding her by the shoulders, helping to take, one of us is taking her rifle and one of us is taking her radio set and allowing her to run. Rukna nahi hai. Like an eagle, everyone is watching us. We can't stop. We have to complete this run. And the band of sisters is moving each other on. And like this, day by day by day, you complete your training. Move on ahead. Everyone claps for us in those passing out parade. But no one has seen those weak moments when you feel, ab nahi ho raha. And another one says, bas, kal ka din aur nikalo. Kal ka din aur nikalo. Let us do it. Let us do it. The band of sisters is egging each other on. And then I got posted to high altitude and extreme cold climate area, and the battle began. 97, I got posted there. 2 years, my tenure was coming to an end. 99, Battle of Kargil starts. Operation Vijay. Now, as a logistics officer, we are required to support fighting forces with all kinds of stores that they need to fight an effective battle against the enemy. Since I'm the only lady officer there, where is my band of sisters? I'm missing my friends from academy. I'm missing my sisters. I'm missing those ladies who used to be strength of my mother. Who is my support here? I have to go on ahead to Kargil and to Dras to look after the logistic points there, to see firsthand what do we need to send ahead. And out of nowhere, I have these Ladakhi women, the laborers in our depot. Madam, aap aage jao, bacche ko hum sambhalenge. Because I had my 2-year-old son with me. Where I leave him, that is my worry. And these girls came on ahead. It was a very difficult time. I was pregnant. My second trimester, May, June, July, coincided with my 4th, 5th, 6th months. High altitude pregnancy is extremely challenging. It's very dangerous in the sense that you can't eat anything that is rich in iron for fear of aborting your child, because your body needs oxygen to process that iron. Mentally, there is no peace because you have this battle going on. You have a 2-year-old son, and you are fearing that if enemy firing comes, enemy shelling comes, my husband who's fighting a battle in Dras sector, what will happen to him? If enemy invades, what is going to happen to us? Being there, I was responsible to get the coffins made. My husband fighting a battle, fingers crossed, God, I should not sign that coffin. Who knows? You cannot say anything when the battle is raging on. But this band of sisters rises and says, Madam, aap sirf kaam pe dhyan do. Aapka bachcha hum dekhenge. For a day or 2 day or 3 day, whenever I'm going to the front areas, my child is looked after. So band of sisters be each other's strength. And I will just close by saying this. Your circumstances are not that I faced. But I'm very sure you all have your own war zones. You all have your own battles. And you all are fighting a battle where you are the warrior. People say that a lot of equality is coming. I will say that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in boardrooms, in offices. Gender biases exist. World does not want you to succeed. You are here against all odds. Today you have turned up in huge numbers against all odds. The world wants you to fail. But the universe wants you to succeed. And universe is ready to say tathastu if you are willing to work and give your 100%. So be each other's strength. As women, sometimes we get a lot of, the jealousy and try to bring each other down. Oh, let me tell you, you are your own band of sisters. Support each other. Many of you are very senior entrepreneurs. Help the younger ones with what were your hacks of work, the utopia, the la la land, huh? Work, life, family, self-balance. It doesn't exist. It's only a hack. We navigate it day by day. But who knows, someday you will get a hack so brilliant. You may tweak it to your circumstances. Introduce each other to good circles. Sponsors, teach the young ones how to introduce themselves. I can share a hack with you here. When I just say, I am Captain Yashika Hatwal Tyagi, I get a polite smile from men. Okay. When I say, I'm Captain Yashika Hatwal Tyagi, a Kargil war veteran, I say, oh, how are those days? Communication or a conversation happens. But when I say, I'm Captain Yashika Hatwal Tyagi, Kargil war veteran, and a military-inspired leadership coach, oh, business happens. Learn to introduce yourself because you are here and you have a long way to go. I can go on and on and on and on, and it is very difficult to rein me in. And I'm sure I must have overstayed my time now also. I regret that. But thank you very much, ladies. And once again, remember, if you are always trying to be normal, you do not know how amazing you can be. So just be out there. Never settle on for being normal. Go beyond. Yours is the sky, and yours is the glory. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dekyi. Thank you. So, thank you.
Is that, yeah. That was truly, truly inspirational. And for the second time, I mean, for the audience, I heard Captain a year and a half back in Delhi. And when she spoke, I actually teared up and I had goosebumps. And at that moment of time, at that moment, I thought, when I become chair, I'm definitely going to get Captain here. And, I'm so honored to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me time. Thank you.
Yeah. And now I have the privilege to have Your Eminence, Ambassador Nirupama Rao. I've also had, again, the honor of listening to Ambassador during COVID. And yes, so is that fine? So would you like to actually share how you got this done, Captain, yesterday? It was interesting. Please, Captain.
Thank you, Dekyi. And thank you, Captain, for that most inspirational, moving address.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Means a lot. Coming from you means a lot.
You're a very hard act to follow, I'm afraid. So you will excuse me if I sound, somewhat quieter. And
defense and diplomacy.
And of course, I must add, let me first of all start by thanking Dekyi and FLO for inviting me here today and to be in your presence. It's wonderful to see this sea of faces, women. I'm sure each and every one of you achievers in your own right. And it is indeed a privilege to be in your midst today. and to speak about diplomacy. After we heard Captain Yashika speak, I want to just start with a little personal anecdote. I myself am an army daughter, and I grew up in the army. I grew up in cantonments, and I can honestly and very sincerely say that the army made me what I am today. Because there is something about an upbringing in the army that is so rootedly cosmopolitan, that opens your eyes to the world. You may be from any part of India, but you're growing up with all of India around you. And that conditions you in a very special way. And I personally think that it sort of prepared me for a career in diplomacy in a way that no other upbringing perhaps could have done. So I'm going to, on the screen, you're seeing this picture of a woman. I must tell you a little story associated with this. Last night, when I had put my thoughts together about what I should speak to you about, I kind of, began to visualize a picture of what diplomacy is about. And today it's all about artificial intelligence, and I said, let me try making a picture through AI. And I started prompting ChatGPT. And I kept scolding it, saying that this is not what I want. And so it began like this. I wanted a kind of Renaissance picture. I mean, that's what came to mind. And I didn't want a man. The first time I asked for a picture, ChatGPT comes up with a man. And so even, AI has its biases, may I say. And so then we finally got down. I said, I want a young woman with flowing hair. And I want those lions in the background. And I want the roaring cannon on one side. And I want her hand on the globe. And I want an open book by her side. I want a lute, a musical instrument, in the picture. And I want a pen and quill. And I wanted those doves in the sky and cherubs. So, this may sound like a mishmash, a khichdi of all kinds of ideas. But I kept working with ChatGPT to get this picture. And it took about 2 hours. But not too bad. I mean, if one had painted something like this, it would have taken, I guess, forever. So I thought I'd explain to you what this picture means to me. And so this painting I decided to call Diplomacy. And the woman at the center, this young lady, she has a red gown, as you know. And it's trimmed with fur, ermine, as it's called. And she's wearing a laurel wreath on her head. And to me, she represented the personification of what diplomacy is, because she has a regal bearing. Her expression is very calm, which suggests, ideally, what diplomats should project: wisdom, authority, and moral clarity, because these are qualities, I believe, that are essential to a good diplomat. So the laurel wreath on her head symbolizes honor, victory, peace that is achieved through intellect rather than force, core goals of diplomacy. But let me say, diplomacy also functions on the war field. We work in tandem with defense, because we are there to protect the national interest, to defend the security of the country, to work for national security. So, our roles are defined. They may be separate, but we work together. And that is what, as the captain said, that's what sisterhood is all about. That's what fellowship is all about. And that's what the national interest is all about, because we work together. And our collective contribution makes the nation great. So we have, as I said, I talked about this young lady. In her left hand, she holds an olive branch. Actually, if you look at this way, I mean, actually speaking, it's her right hand. She holds an olive branch. And this is universally recognized as a symbol of peace and reconciliation. And this reinforces one of the primary roles of diplomacy, which is to prevent conflict, to mediate disputes, and to maintain harmony among nations. And you see her left hand rests upon a globe, and it indicates the diplomat's global awareness. It signifies international engagement, geopolitical knowledge, and the navigation of complex interstate relations, which is everything that we are tasked with. The open book and the quill symbolize the intellectual labor behind treaties, negotiations, and international law. So diplomats have to study history, they have to study foreign languages and culture to communicate effectively and to craft agreements. So the quill and the ink pot really suggest the power of the written word. We have the power of the spoken word, but there's also the enormous power of the written word, especially in today's digital age. I think we must remind ourselves about it. So, and the book, what the book implies is precedent, legal principles, and of course the scholarly grounding, which is essential for any diplomatic discourse. Now coming to the lute, which is this Renaissance musical instrument, it suggests the soft power of cultural diplomacy, which is very much an aspect. Diplomacy, you have political diplomacy, you have military diplomacy, you have economic diplomacy, you have people-to-people diplomacy, and of course you have cultural diplomacy, which becomes a vehicle of a country's soft power. So you use art and music and shared heritage to foster understanding and goodwill among nations. The lions resting in that corner symbolize strength held in reserve, diplomacy backed by power. That's what they mean. And they may also indicate that diplomacy often involves restraining the might of nations in favor of dialogue. And that's why I visualize those lions in the background. So all this is actually what I visualized. This painting doesn't exist if you look for it on the internet. And in the background, the castle, that palace, symbolizes sovereignty, the sovereignty of a nation, a statehood, a nationhood, and the secure home base from which diplomats operate. Obviously, we all need that. And the cannon, amid smoke and ruin, hints at war and destruction, what diplomacy aims to prevent. So this juxtaposition underlines that diplomacy always operates in a world on the edge of conflict. You can see that today. So to sum it all up, this painting encapsulates diplomacy as a multifaceted endeavor requiring wisdom, requiring restraint, intellect, and cultural sensitivity. It has to balance peace against the threat of war, power with persuasion, and national interests with global responsibilities. So that's the picture of diplomacy. I just thought I'd present it to you. And also to remind yourself that even if AI is often smarter than you are, it does take instructions from you. And you can make it work in your interest. So don't let it overpower you. Certainly it didn't. And I was able to sort of conceive of this painting, and I got it to deliver. So I feel that each and every one of us can do that in similar contexts, whatever the needs or the challenges may be. We have a little time, don't we? Yes. So, as I said, it's truly a pleasure to be here with you in Bangalore. Bangalore is such a hub for innovation. To me, I grew up in this city and I've seen it transform itself over the years. And to me, it signifies so much resilience, a spirit of renewal, however chaotic the traffic may be, because ideas, I think, are most important. Innovation should always reign supreme. And our minds, I believe, should also always be able to think of better tomorrows. So I think Bangalore will grow and will grow bigger and will grow better. I'm optimistic about it because my own journey began here and it has spanned continents after that. And there's something profoundly energizing about being here in this room with all of you women. You're not waiting for permission to lead, you are leading, as Captain said. And when I think of diplomacy and its application to a group of women entrepreneurs and businesswomen, I want you to think of diplomacy as strategic communication. In the case of professional diplomats like me, perhaps we were kind of doing it between countries, but in very much the same way, you negotiate partnerships, you handle client relationships, or you manage competition in business. So there's not much that separates the diplomacy that I practiced from what you do in your daily lives. And just as you wouldn't jump into a conflict with a supplier or competitor without first trying to talk it out, countries similarly use diplomacy to negotiate, to collaborate, to resolve differences. And here's how diplomacy parallels your world as an entrepreneur. Negotiation. Just like you negotiate with vendors or investors, diplomats negotiate deals, not the Donald Trump variety, deals with such as trade agreements, peace talks, or climate partnerships, because you spoke of the greening concepts. Relationship building. In business, of course, success often comes from strong networking. And countries, too, build long-term diplomatic relationships to work together in times of crisis or when opportunities present themselves. Conflict management. If disagreement arises, you likely aim for a win-win solution. And diplomacy certainly is about doing the same because you find smart compromises rather than create enemies. And finally, representation. You pitch your brand, values, and goals to the world, and diplomats do that for their countries, representing their nation's interests on the global stage. So at its heart, diplomacy is about influence without aggression, a skill that every entrepreneur, especially women breaking new ground in a dynamic city like Bangalore, should relate to, I believe, and appreciate. Now I'll speak a little about my journey, just as Captain Yashika spoke, and I told you I began with an army background. And my journey into diplomacy didn't begin with grand ambitions. I mean, when you're young, you're a teenager growing up at school, you don't have grand ambitions, but you have dreams and curiosity about the world around you. And I was really fascinated by maps. I've been a map lover since I was very little, and it's continued into my adulthood, and I collect old maps, especially of India, and I love looking at them, exploring the places I haven't been to, and thinking how times have changed and the way things are represented. I love those 16th century and 17th century maps with their drawings of dragons and monsters, and you realize how cartography has changed. It's become so sophisticated today. And, as a captain in the army, you know all about that. And I've worked very closely, in fact, with the military operations, for instance, because I handled work relating to China. So I really, can relate to what you do. And I have this enormous sense of affinity with the serving army officers because of all the interests that they defend. And I think we really need to sing and to be able to publicize and to celebrate what contributions our men and women in uniform make to the nation. Now, being one of the first, I mean, we had women diplomats in the Foreign Service when I joined. And in fact, there was definitely a gender bias for women joining the Foreign Service at that time. When I filled in the application for the Union Public Service Commission exam, the UPSC exam, and my first preference, I was completely determined that I would join only the Foreign Service. My parents thought I was crazy. They said, why don't you list all the other services that you can get into in case you don't get the Foreign Service? Give some more options. I said, no, I shall just give the Foreign Service and the Indian Administrative Service, just those two services. And so I was, we had to give an undertaking when we filled in the application that we were not married. So married women could not apply to join the Foreign Service. So that was the extent of gendering that you saw in public service at that time. That changed, of course. It's not like that anymore. But there was another rule, the marriage rule. If you married after joining the Foreign Service, you had to submit your resignation at the same time that you conveyed the fact that you were going to get married. So things really were quite challenging, you have to put it very diplomatically, for women joining the Foreign Service. But, things have changed enormously, I must say. There's been so much evolution, there's been so much progress, so much advancement when it comes to the roles of women. And I can say that from my own story. It's certainly much more accommodative and much more representative when it comes to the number of women that we have in the Foreign Service today. And today, we live in a world where you talk about the feminization of diplomacy. Not just diplomacy, but the feminization of diplomacy. So that's another subject for a talk, I think. But anyway, my first posting when I joined the Foreign Service was the city of Vienna, city of, I'm sure, many dreams and full of music and a place where I think lots of worlds intersected, both East and West Europe, and so many histories, so many migrations. So to be in Vienna on that first posting was extremely, I felt extremely privileged to be in Vienna. I went there to study German, actually, because all of us have to study a foreign language. And as you know, the Austrians also speak German. It's a German of a slightly different variety, much softer than the High German that is spoken in Germany. But anyway, I loved being there. But I was mistaken. I remember I was young. I was 25 years old when I went to Vienna. And I was mistaken, and this happens. This is what I say when I refer to gender bias. I was mistaken more than once as the ambassador's secretary. And I remember saying with a smile, no, I'm the ambassador in training. The system just hasn't caught up yet. so I remember that very well. And it was just a wisp of a girl, you see. So many of us who are wisps of girls get mistaken as if, we are performing other roles. But I'm reminded of this quote from Nora Ephron. She said, above all, be the heroine of your life, not the victim. And I think from the beginning I felt, I'm not going to be the victim. I'm going to be able to get over situations, and I'm going to stay, hang in there, as the Americans say, and to make it better until it becomes the best. So you have to fight for your voice to be heard. All of us women have to fight, whatever occupation, whatever position, whatever situation we may be in. I think we have to fight for our voice to be heard. And often, of course, you hear a male voice echoing it back as if, it's only through that you can gain approval. There's a lot of mansplaining that you have to deal with, but persist and don't give up. Make your voice heard. Now, talking about geopolitics, Dekyi mentioned, she asked me some questions when I was, we were talking about my coming here. Why does geopolitics matter even for non-diplomats or international affairs specialists or politicians? So why should a businesswoman or an entrepreneur or a creative professional be geopolitically engaged? I feel, yes, you should be engaged because geopolitics is the invisible hand that shapes the visible world. Supply chains, market access, currency stability, technology flows, all of them are touched by global diplomacy, by conflict resolution, by cooperation, by trade deals, and by treaties. So especially for women, understanding the architecture of global power is essential because too often decisions that affect us as women are made in rooms we are not in. We have to be in the room. So being geopolitically aware isn't about becoming political, it's about empowering yourself. Very, very important. Now I'm reminded of what Virginia Woolf, the writer, once said. As a woman, I have no country. As a woman, my country is the whole world. And I've looked at it like that, because all of us women, I think we belong everywhere. We are not going to be confined. We will not be cabined, as Shakespeare said. We will not be cribbed, cabined, or confined, as William Shakespeare said. And today it's a very interconnected age, and I feel that sentiment about, as a woman, it's not just, I just don't belong to one country, I belong to the world. What lessons can I, speak of for all of you aspiring young women leaders? I'll just offer 3 mindset shifts that I feel in my own life helped me navigate to what I became ultimately. So we all say, you have to be confident, you have to hold your head up high, you have to be assertive. But I feel there's a little more than that. It's not just about confidence, because sometimes confidence can be a performance, just that. You have to have conviction. And people see through you, they see the fact that you have conviction. And that is the quiet anchor of your existence. It's been the quiet anchor of my existence, may I say. And you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You need to be clear about your purpose. And think not just locally, second point, think globally. Every business, every idea, every cause lives in a global ecosystem. So read widely, think geopolitically. Ask, how does this moment in Bangalore echo in Beijing, in Brussels, or in Boston? Think about it. Think always in that amplified way, not in a confined way, and think with that conviction. Thirdly, from competition to collaboration, because true leadership is about building bridges, not fortresses. We don't need to build fortresses, we need to build bridges. And women, and that's where when I talked of the feminization of diplomacy, women are natural coalition builders. The compass, if there was a compass in this picture, I was too sleepy at the end of it, I had to go to bed. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. So I wanted to put a compass there. And that compass is not, going to be pointing north or south. You know where that compass will point? It will point towards consensus. That's where the compass will point. That's where the compass for women should point. And therefore, build coalitions, because you are all natural coalition builders. And therefore, peace, when you talk of building peace through coalitions, it's not just a treaty, a document. Of course, you have to have a document that you sign. it's also about building those relationships. Very, very important. Now, all of us will probably think, as Jane Austen once said, there's nothing like staying at home for comfort. It's very true. All of us like to go home for real comfort. But I believe, from my own experience, that there's nothing like venturing out into the world and finding your own voice echo around the world with dignity and strength. That's my experience. And before I close, I'm going to speak a little about music, which has been the soundtrack of my existence, and I'm sure it is for most all of us, really, because we're all born, in Spanish, I don't know how many of you speak Spanish, but I'll say it in Spanish, but I'll explain it. La música dentro. That means the music inside us. We are born with that music, all of us, in embryo, that we have that. So this is something deeply personal, my love of music, but it's also profoundly political in its own way, music. Because music is a parallel current for me, a second heartbeat, if I may say. I sang from an early age. My father, here in Bangalore, I remember taking me to somewhere in Coxtown when I was about 15 years old, and he bought me a guitar because I was really after him for months saying I need a guitar, and I used to sing with that guitar. And I went to the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy with the guitar on my shoulder, and I used to sing. I don't know how many of you, you've seen the Bob Dylan movie. Have you seen The Complete Unknown? So Joan Baez features in that. Joan Baez was also a folk singer in the US in the 60s and early 70s. She's still singing. She's about 84 or something now. And I was a great Joan Baez fan, and she was anti-war. She was for peace. Those were the days when the Vietnam War, anti-war demonstrations were going on. So I used to sing Joan Baez with the guitar. That was, in fact, how I entered the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy. I had topped the All India list. I didn't know a soul. So when I went with my guitar and I sang my song, somehow I felt reassured. It gave me strength, and it kind of powered me, I felt. So, but diplomacy has also taught, music has also taught me in my life, in diplomacy, it's taught me to listen, because if you are into music, you're constantly listening. You need a good ear to get that perfect pitch. And you know what perfect pitch is? You're able to pitch yourself in a way that you strike the right note always. And I'm not saying it in a kind of a, self-propagating sense. But I mean to say that in life, you need perfect pitch. You need to be able to pitch. To be able to make that pitch, you have to be able to listen. Each and every one of us have to be good listeners. Even as we need to be good speakers or articulate powerfully, we have to listen. Listen to the other sounds in the garden. The garden is full of so many sounds. Remember that, as Salman Rushdie once said. So it taught me to listen, and not just to respond, but to understand. It guided me in finding harmony amidst discord and rhythm when there's only noise. And that's how I founded the South Asian Symphony Orchestra. And thank you so much for your support for the orchestra. I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful. Thank you. And so this orchestra is a musical ensemble from across India, from Sri Lanka, from Afghanistan, from Nepal, and from Southeast Asia, from Singapore, from Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, from Malaysia, from Thailand, and also the Indian diaspora in the UK and the United States. So we have this group of musicians, most of them young, and they, to my mind, an orchestra becomes a model of what society should look like. Different people working together, not speaking the same language, but playing in tune. That really, to me, is what music teaches me, and that, to me, is diplomacy in action. So I just would like to perhaps close with that a song. I'm not going to sing, but I want you to hear this song. It particularly moves me, and I've had the joy of singing it. It's Rabindranath Tagore's Purano she diner kotha. And it translates into memories of old days. It's a song of quiet nostalgia, a remembrance of old friendships, shared laughter, intimate moments that time may have taken, but memory refuses to let go. It is gentle, it is tender, and it's deeply human. So diplomacy has to preserve that also, that basic humanness that is intertwined between all of us. And this makes it
never brought to mind. Should old acquaintance be forgot, and old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
So that, thank you. Thank you. So just very briefly, Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore drew inspiration for this song from the Scottish poem Auld Lang Syne. And Auld Lang Syne is literally a global anthem of remembrance and enduring bonds. And in creating Purano she diner kotha, Tagore did what he did best, and what I think we today should learn from. He took the essence of a foreign idea and transformed it into something uniquely Indian. So that really is the message I'd like to leave you with, because there are many ideas that we can take to ourselves from abroad and make Indian. And that's how, the Chinese have prospered, the Japanese have prospered, the Singaporeans have prospered. And I think we too can learn from outside, although ours is a civilizational state. We can still learn from outside. And when we talk about the world being one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, I think that essentially is what it means, learning from each other, listening to each other, and living together with peace and understanding and mutual accommodation. I think, so that's really where I stop. I want to, as I look back at my early years in Bangalore, I look back at the journeys I've made across the world, exciting circumstances that I've been a part of, tragedies that I've witnessed. It's the whole scope, the spectrum of experience that, it's so wide that it's not enough perhaps for me to speak about it in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. I think I've exceeded my time. But I want to say that my identity is not a singular one. It has, in it, we all of us, as the poet Walt Whitman said, we contain multitudes. All of us contain multitudes. Remember that. We're not just singular. It's a very layered life that all of us lead, and in that layering lies our strength. So to every woman here, your leadership is not an act of rebellion. It's an act of reclaiming your rightful place in the global conversation. So let it hear not just your words, but your wisdom and your music. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you. Thank you so much.
Insights and your wisdom, Ambassador, truly beautiful, and you have such a melodious voice, and I think the creation that you did thanks to ChatGPT was stunning. Absolutely. And you know, we as FLO women, we may not wear uniforms, or we may not hold office, but I think leadership truly begins with awareness. So I'm so glad that we are all part of this conversation, and if you're not leading, at least being part of it, I think is so imperative.
If I can just say one thing.
Yeah.
Ma'am, your choice of song, The All Lang Syne, was so, what do you say, nostalgic for me, because as you are yourself an army brat.
Yes.
Every army passing out parade, Army, Navy, Air Force, every defense passing out parade that we have, when the young cadets are passing out, saluting the tricolor, when they cross the Antim Pag, this is the song that is always played when the final march past is going on. So we all have saluted the tricolor, becoming officers on the song All Lang Syne. And so it is very, very poignant moment. It's very poignant.
Let's deep dive into our quick fireside chat. And here in the middle, please. Thank you. Thank you once again. So we'll quickly go through a deep dive into a quick fireside chat on decoding Frontline India. And I thought I'd begin with you, Ambassador. Ambassador, how do you view India's current position on the global stage in this shifting power dynamic? If you could share some light in this.
It's a complex situation. I talked about geopolitics in my address, and geopolitics is fragmenting today, and we are confronted more with a world disorder than a world order.
Sure.
But where does India stand in all this? I think India has enormous strengths. It has enormous credibility, and it's able to really convey to the rest of the world what strategic autonomy means.
Sure.
You know, we take our own decisions, we march to the beat of our drum, but at the same time, we act with a great deal of responsibility. That is the reputation that we have in the world.
Right.
Especially when it comes to global governance, and when it comes to being a leading voice of the Global South, as was demonstrated during the G20 summit.
Yes, absolutely.
So that really is where India stands. I think every country today is keeping watch.
Right.
There is so much change around us. And the post-World War II order, post-1945 World War II order, is certainly going to be reconstructed, let us say, realigned,
right,
and redefined.
True.
And we're at that inflection point at the moment.
Sure. And I'm so glad to hear that India right now, of course, we've matured as a nation, right? We're not neither very passive nor are we very aggressive in our stance. And I think, but most important, I think we've been confidently navigating through all the geopolitical global order as of now. So while our diplomacy navigates this global chessboard, the risks on the ground remain extremely real, especially for those defending our borders, our Jawans. So Captain, from your vantage point, what do you see as India's biggest defense challenges in today's very complex security landscapes?
When we speak about the defense, the challenges, the biggest challenges,
right.
I think challenges must always be, first we must speak about what are our strengths. Once we understand our strengths, only then we can speak about our challenges and understand them much better. So when we speak of the strengths, especially at this time, the position of India across world is of a very matured nation.
Sure.
We are not a whimsical nation or we are not a trigger-happy nation, or we are not a nation which is in an era of forever war, you know, like what we are seeing across globe.
Absolutely.
So when it is seen in view of our neighbor, see, we can always, and I'm saying it in front of Ambassador, I don't mean to, you know, touch upon the diplomacy, but we always say that we don't choose our neighbors.
That's right.
They are given to us. We can choose our friends.
True.
And how we best navigate in whatever circumstances we are in, that is what defines us. So in respect to Pakistan, the strength that we saw during this Operation Sindoor, see the political maturity that was at the face of it, which we did not have to speak much about. It was visible.
Absolutely.
The kind of decisions that we were taking, we were not flowing with the current. We knew when to put the gears on and when to put the brakes on.
True.
We were driving our car in the most beautiful manner. We were not rolling down, you know, out of balance. When we see the strength of our defense forces, you know, so A, you have seen the statesmanship. B, you have seen what is our defense capability. So if you go by the global firepower index, India is number 4 globally, and Pakistan is number 12. So again, there is no comparison there.
Sure.
Add to it, if we all, we all have followed those military briefings that were going on, and we saw Director General Air Operations saying that every battle is fought differently.
Sure.
What is going to happen in next battle, and we don't wish it upon our nation or any other nation, but if it happens, the rules remaining the same, the tactics will change. Our strategies will change. Our weapons will change. So the hero of Kargil was Bofors, but hero of Operation Sindoor was the air defense systems.
Yeah.
And the biggest hero was Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Yeah.
So we came on so strong. We did not depend on Turkeys and Chinas of the world. We had our own Brahmoses and our own Akashas and our own Agnis, and we were going on ahead. But when we speak about in midst of all these strength, what is the challenge? So something that our Chief of Defense Staff very clearly mentioned, that in this battle, the biggest challenge we had was to fight misinformation. In this world, the battles are going to be fought not conventionally for a longer time, but on cyberspace.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is going to be an information warfare.
It is information warfare.
Much before this battle started, I had this very viral podcast that was recorded. And in that podcast, I was asked this question, how do you see next war unfolding? And this was exactly my analysis and assessment that time, that next battle will not be fought conventionally. True. If conventionally, it will be a very limited area battle, but the biggest part will be the information warfare, which exactly a month and a half we saw happening and unfolding. So the crux is, when we have so much of information on our palm tops, the AIs and the internet, then along with it comes huge responsibility. You know, we cannot be going ahead with some video game kind of a thing where one battle is shown, oh my God, we have bombarded Karachi port. And then military people come for the briefing and say, no, there's nothing like that. And then what happens? People feel let down.
Yeah.
People feel let down and say, oh, we thought this has happened. Then what has defense forces done? Not realizing that all this is information or misinformation warfare that is going on. So we must know where the credibility lies, that if our statesmanship is mature, then we as citizens must also be mature, that we can take on this country to a next level.
True.
So this was the biggest challenge.
True. No, that's an incredible perspective, Captain, and true. So, and while our armed forces prepare on all fronts, global trade is becoming its own form of battleground too. So, Ambassador, how does India balance its very complex relationships with both the US and China, who themselves are, of course, locked in a very fierce competition, and then with US tariffs rising and protectionism creeping in, how vulnerable is India's trade model today?
You know, as a percentage of our GDP, for instance, manufacturing is not a very big percentage. We obviously have to build more manufacturing capacity as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Absolutely.
And that, of course, augments your exporting capacity also. Our exports and services are, of course, a very, very critical component of the GDP. And that, of course, so far has not really been affected by tariff wars. When it comes to the World Trading Order, and you look at the World Trade Organization, a lot of the big countries, America included, have done their best to kind of undermine the effectiveness of organizations like the WTO. So that is one challenge all of us face. And then you have an administration today in the United States that talks about tariffs all the time. And India has very much been a part of that conversation. But I think we have to find ways out of this. All of us, I think, in life, look to finding solutions. It's a problem-solving approach that you need. India and the United States are now negotiating a bilateral trade agreement, which I hope will be done in the next few months. They're talking about tariffs, they're talking about non-tariff barriers, and hopefully, given the strength of our relationship with the United States, it's a very comprehensive global strategic partnership that we have with the United States. And there's an underlying durability to it. There's an underlying resilience to this relationship. So my hunch and my forecast is that we will have a bilateral trade agreement that will tackle the issue of tariffs and come out with a win-win solution. That's my reading of the situation. When it comes to China, now, China is our largest neighbor.
Right.
And there is no way we can row ourselves away from China, right? And secondly, you know, there was a point in time, I started dealing with China in 1984, so more than 40 years ago.
Wow.
And at that stage, we were at par. The Chinese and Indians were at par in terms of GDP, in terms of per capita income, in terms of levels of development, infrastructure, you name it, we were at par. It's in the last 30, 35 years that China just moved, moved ahead so fast. And playing catch up, is a challenge for every country with China. And we have that asymmetry with China. That's certainly something we in India should take very seriously. And I think, everybody, that's my advice to every young Indian, to be consumed by this desire to benchmark yourselves with what China has done and to be able to overtake it eventually and make that really your obsession. Not just your dream, but your obsession. I think you have to have the fire in the belly for that. But our trade deficit with China today is huge. It's really over 100 billion US dollars, and billion I'm talking of. And we need Chinese imports. For whatever reason, in the last 3 decades, our capacity to manufacture a lot of intermediate goods that we need for our electronics, for our pharmaceuticals, the ingredients that you need, APIs that you need to manufacture pharmaceuticals are a lot coming from China.
Right.
And I remember a time in the early 1990s when much of it was being manufactured here.
Yeah, sure.
Why did we lose that capacity? So there's a whole story to be told there. America speaks about huge expanses of the Midwest having been ruined, having become ghost cities, mining towns, as manufacturing left America, went to China. And that's the whole Trump, story today. Similar things have happened in India. We lost a lot of capacity to China in the last 3 decades, and the trade deficit is a result of that. So there's miles to go as far as that is concerned. We'll have to build capacity, supply chains that are alternatives, build capacity within the country, make sure that manufacturing as a share of our GDP goes. And of course, beyond that, we have this 4th industrial revolution to really absorb. new technologies,
Right.
artificial intelligence, robotics, all that is going to change the face of things as we know it. How is that going to affect our demographic dividend, the young people, the numbers of young people coming into the job market every year? You know, how do we find jobs for them? We obviously have to. How do we build capacity? How do we upgrade skills? So there's a whole lot of missions, as it were, that we have to take on.
And I think also we need
So
to
there are,
diversify.
you talk of wars to be fought on borders, but there are, so many struggles within that we have to
apart
deal
from
with.
battlefields,
Yeah.
absolutely. Also, I think it's really imperative that the country also diversifies our partnerships with other countries as well. I think that's something that...
And that's always been a part of India's
Right.
agenda. When you talk of, we began with non-alignment,
Right.
and then it's become strategic autonomy.
True.
And then we speak of multi-alignment today. It's obviously we want to have, not alliances, but relationships and partnerships all over the
All
world,
over, yes.
which are mutually beneficial.
True. And so my next question is to you, Captain. So how does India calibrate restraint and retaliation, especially with ongoing tensions on both borders, right, with Pakistan as well as with China?
India curates retaliation now.
Okay.
India curates. India has given a new definition to retaliation.
Beautifully put, yeah.
And I think that the picture that Her Eminence had put there so beautifully summarized what Operation Sindoor and the diplomacy was there, that the lions are there in the background and the cannons are firing from one side. We know when to unleash which one.
Yeah, sure.
And that sentence is Bhai bin hot na preeti. So we showed that we have the strength, but we also have the wisdom. We have the veerta and we have the vivek.
Sure.
We have the power to do balidan, but we also have the wisdom and the nerves of steel even to say we will calibrate. Retaliation with calibration. And this is a whole new doctrine. And people who are baying for war and they say that, oh, we feel so cheated out of this whole thing. We wanted a full-scale war to happen. I must share with you that the true power does not lie in destruction. The true power lies in creating a deterrence. सामने वाले के दिमाग और दिल में खौफ करना. That political messaging is very important, that we will not hesitate. We have the power, we have the precision, we are going to decide, and this is exactly what happened during this Operation Vijay. When we retaliated, we calibrated, we measured our response. We went inside, we did not go inside Pakistan. Sitting here, our munitions went inside Pakistan, and every type of target was at our beck and call to be hit upon. The terrorist sites.
Yes.
When Pakistan took it notches up, and next day only, on May 8th, brought so many drones into our country, we knew exactly where is this drone coordination hub is. We attacked on that. And thereafter, we hit on their air bases. We know exactly what are the pain points, where to press what, but we also have the maturity not to let it unfold into a full-blown war.
Right.
Because the world cannot stomach one more war, and for us, it is very important that we have a deterrence, because we have an India's growth story to take care of.
Very true.
We don't want, because every war takes our country back 25, 30 years. Do you want it? No, we don't want it. But we also want to send that message.
Of course.
That ab nahi karna, boss. Nahi to ab jo hoga, that is going to be very, very difficult for Pakistan to take it on. Pakistan also is sending messages. So lots is happening on the diplomacy front. What defense does is, the job of defense is to achieve political aim. What political bosses have decided, that objective is to be obtained or reached at through defense.
True.
We are not a country that is going to have coups or take over governments. We are here to uphold Constitution of India and to take care of the sovereignty of this nation and to take care of the borders of our nation. We are not in the business of attacking other countries. Therefore, this retaliation was very curated, very measured, and we just kept taking it a step by step, giving Pakistan every chance to take a step back.
True.
We told them the first day that this attack is going to be there only on the terrorist hubs. So if you cry victim, then please join us. And together let us clear your country of this scourge. But Pakistan, being Pakistan, attacked. So, okay, boss, now you take one step ahead, now we will attack you. And like this, it was going, because we will, and if again you see, when Pakistan, we attacked precision. We exactly knew 1 by 1 meter. That is the accuracy of precision guided laser bombing. Wow. 1 meter by 1 meter, exactly bombs are dropping.
Wow.
And what Pakistan was doing? They could not enter our any defended area. Their drones could not enter our any defended area. They attacked the borders with heavy artillery. And that we responded with heavy artillery. They raised it, we raised it, and thereafter crying, uncle, it went wherever it went. But when we talk of calibration, I think it has to be done with a lot of responsibility, lot of maturity, and we also must give that way out to the other nation, that if the other nation wants to take a step back, we also should have that kind of maturity to allow that window also for our nation to take one step up and the other country to take a one step down, so that, as Ambassador mentioned, that the peace, the olive branch, has to be upheld, because that is the growth story. And that is where we all want to go.
Very true. I mean, and I think that was beautifully put, Captain, and I think it also reflects, you know, a very matured and very measured India as well, and I think that's most important. And one of the most powerful examples, which you also mentioned, of India's military leadership under pressure came during the Kargil War, which you were part of, Captain. So, and I know that Kargil remains one of India's most defining modern military operations. So, I'm curious to understand, what leadership lessons from Kargil do you believe are still deeply relevant for India's armed forces and for civilians today?
Yeah. Like I just mentioned, that every battle is different. When we had 1971, it was a whole different era.
Sure.
Right? Lots has changed when we came to 1999 and had Kargil. When Kargil happened, it was the first televised battle, so to say. And people my generation, women my generation will remember that those live coverage was going on from many, many areas. The newspapers were carrying the daily reports. The magazines were full of it. Every school was doing prayers, and students were writing letters and making cards and rakhis for the soldiers fighting ahead. The corporate houses were coming forward with whatever help they could do. The diplomacy was working, oh my God, so amazingly. We were fighting, but the actual battle, the closure of the battle came from the diplomatic channels.
Sure.
And that is when you see that a beautiful synergy that takes place. So when we talk of leadership lessons, I think the evergreen lessons for all age groups is teamwork. from Kargil, we see that, so we had Air Force, right? We had infantry. We had artillery. So basically, if we talk of these three forces that were fighting, so Air Force was going on ahead, bombarding on the Pakistani posts, precision bombs, so that the enemy's head is down. Because enemy was sitting on top of the icy heights, and these infantry jawans were moving up in clear view of enemy. It was very easy for enemy to hit us. But the teamwork, you see, so Air Force pounds on them, infantry starts marching on. Now to give a covering fire to infantry, the artillery guns are booming. And their shells are flying above the infantry jawans and landing on those posts of enemy. And as our infantry jawans reach at the top, the teamwork is such that reaching within 50 meters also of enemy, our guns were pounding, hitting enemy accurately. Many a times it happened that our infantry officers would say, this coordinate that I'm giving you, where I am standing, hit on my head. Hit me. Because I'm so close to enemy that I'm ready to die. But without this death, the enemy will not die. So I am ready. You just bombard enemy on my location. And so artillery would say, okay, fire coming in, and then give them few minutes. And these people would take a cover, artillery pounding. Imagine being so close to enemy. Throughout Operation Vijay, we did not have a single blue-on-blue kill. That means our own firing was not falling on our own. Teamwork, giving cover to each other. That's what I said, band of sisters. Giving cover to each other. Allowing everyone to build on their strengths. Covering on the weaknesses, covering on the weak points. So, second is, we had very little resources that time. Because in 1998, we had tested our nuclear bomb. And many sanctions were internationally put on India. We were fighting with very limited resources. And it was once very famously put by our Chief of Army Staff at that time, when he said, we will fight with whatever we have. That is a death call. We will fight with whatever we have. We have so less munitions. Our country was not manufacturing any. Bofors, that was hero of Kargil, we were importing the shells. We were importing the ammunition of Bofors. In that time, we found the true friendship lied with Israel. We found the true friendship lied with Russia, those who helped us at that point of time when international sanctions were put. So, every time in life, you will not have large number of resources. And remember, वही पेड़ ज़्यादा ऊंचा जाता है जो बड़े पेड़ के नीचे उगता है, जिसको धूप कम मिलती है, वही ऊपर ज़्यादा जाता है, वही स्ट्रगल करता है धूप के लिए. So, when we fight with less resources, when we struggle with less resources, we always bloom. And we always have more lessons. And we always know how to, then we are not asking, why should I do a thing? We just always speak in a language, tell me how it is done and I will do it. Just show me a way. True. And at that point of time, we were fighting with very few resources. We did it. So lessons are endless. How is it that when we are in minus 48 degree also in Dras, 2,700 meters, there is oxygen that is very rarefied. Sub-zero temperature. But when you have to go to the enemy, attack the enemy that is sitting on the higher reaches, there is very less or there is a very limited weight that you can carry. So either you can carry food or water, or you can carry bullets, and our officers and jawans opted to carry more bullets instead of carrying food. So this is ownership. When you own your work, तो आपको कोई नहीं हरा सकता. जब आप कहते हो ये काम मेरा है, and I'm going to do it, come what may. You are not looking over your shoulder for help every time. So I think these lessons are very relevant for every age group, for every gender, for every work profile. Take ownership.
Yeah.
Work with your team and never look for ease. You will always have less resources, but then that is where the magic happens.
Sure. Thank you for that. I mean, it's very true, right? So, I mean, these qualities of leadership, not just at the battlefield, but in our everyday lives, whether it's on resilience, on tenacity, on ownership, I think it's truly, truly profound. Yeah. So my last question for the day is for you, Ambassador. Ambassador, despite decades of attempts, India-Pakistan tensions continue to simmer. What is the real way forward for India?
It's a very difficult question, and I think there are a lot of aspects to the answer.
Sure.
First of all, I want to say, yes, as you said, many efforts were made in past years to normalize relations with Pakistan, and I always remember what Mr. Jaswant Singh, who was foreign minister at the time, at the famous Agra summit, you remember we had invited General Musharraf to Agra, and the summit collapsed eventually.
Right.
And the Pakistanis went home. And there were two lessons that I, as a young spokesperson for the foreign ministry, I was the spokesperson, the first woman and this only woman so far to have done the job. And it's really baptism by fire. You're thrown, it's like going into battle.
Wow.
Being in the trenches, you are the infantry.
Yes.
And the artillery is being fired at you from the media. And you're just
and every word is analyzed and dissected.
So anyway, Mr. Jaswant Singh tells me at the end, after everything had happened, everybody had gone home, he had a baritone voice, booming baritone
we remember
voice.
that, yeah.
So he said, Nirupama, too many midwives and the baby was stillborn. So I think with Pakistan, the baby is always stillborn.
Yes.
That is the tragedy of this relationship.
Right.
And we have a country next door to us, Pakistan, that is obsessed with India. That somehow in a very strange and twisted way wants to be India.
Toxic.
Yeah, but cannot be India.
True.
And it's this feeling, that somehow they have inherited some loss. That in partition, what was given to them, it's a psychological problem, and it's an obsessive, compulsive OCD when it comes to India. So as far as normalization with Pakistan is concerned, given the very, very serious problem, which is terrorism, exported by Pakistan to India, used as a proxy to wage war against India, used as an instrument of state policy vis-a-vis India. And you look at the problems that terrorism has created for us because of what Pakistan has done. For Afghanistan, again, an export from Pakistan. The Taliban were a creation of Pakistan, really. And ultimately, I suppose, when you create a Frankenstein like that, it turns on you also, because in Pakistan also you have so much terrorism today. So they have to learn those lessons. And unfortunately, they have not learned those lessons so far, and terrorism continues to be a threat that we face constantly to our national security and to the well-being of our citizens. Look at what happened in Mumbai, 92, 93, 2008,
Tragic, yes.
Pahalgam, 22nd April. 26 innocent lives, some of them from Karnataka, I mean, how do you expect to have a dialogue with a country that is constantly using this instrument as a measure of war against you? I mean, it's an instrument of war that they are using. From 1948, in fact, when the Razakars, they used the Razakars, were really you know, the early avatars of the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed. You know, it's the same thing. So, you know, true, diplomacy always keeps the door a little open, not completely closed. And in any neighborhood relationship, ultimately, you can't build a great wall. Right? But the time hasn't come really for the resumption of diplomacy with Pakistan.
And the time hasn't come to build a bridge as well, yeah?
The time hasn't come to build a bridge.
Yeah.
The time hasn't come to open the door.
Sure.
And ultimately, Pakistan must realize it's the people of the region who ultimately suffer because
and that's so
of this kind of
unfortunate and
policy.
tragic, yeah.
Development is stalled. Look at this economy of Pakistan. It's so much smaller than ours.
Yes.
So much smaller. And they could have done much better.
They could have done much
They could have done much better.
Yes.
I don't think, you know, we have anything against the people of Pakistan.
No.
But it is the state, the deep state, and the instruments it uses against us, the military. What happens in Rawalpindi doesn't stay in Rawalpindi. It affects all of us.
Absolutely.
So
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you so much, Captain, for your insights and your expertise and also your wisdom. And thank you, everyone. Today I've learned that patriotism isn't passive. It's also about showing up over here, being engaged, you know, learning and being aware. So thank you so much. And, you know, we'd love to have actually opened up to, open the floor to audience, but I think we are falling short of time today. And yes, Pooja, would you like to?
Sure. Yes, as you said, in the interest of time, we will skip the audience Q&A. As we move into our segment of gratitude, we request you to stay with us just 5 more minutes as we wrap up. So to our special guests today, thank you for your deeply meaningful insights and the incredible inspiration. I think each and every one of us here I think, are truly fortunate to be part of this Frontline India event. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So I would now request our past chairs to please come on stage as we go into the gratitude segment. We would like to acknowledge our gifting partners for the year, Yashodhara Shroff Folio, Aishwarya Vumudi Tallam Mivra, Adyam Birla Group, Ashima Gupta, Barton Center, and Shilpa Lada, 1-8 Commune. Please come up on stage. And I would request our chairperson, Dekyi Chawla, to present the Friends of FLO mementos by Barton Center to Ambassador Nirupama Rao and Captain Yashika Tyagi.